Hello, everybody, it's me, Kevin, and today we are going to talk about Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Now, this movie came out in 2016, and this came out in November, basically 15 years after the first Harry Potter film, and a few months after The Cursed Child was released and was a play as well. So, if you didn't like The Cursed Child, you could read this. You could watch this instead. The story is basically this. Now, I forgot to mention, this will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet and you're planning to see Crimes of Grindelwald, you should probably see the movie first. But yeah, so obviously, like in my last review, I did Fantastic Beasts, the book, and some other books as well, but like, we're talking about the movie here, so let's start from the beginning. Now, basically, the beginning has. It basically starts off with Grindelwald killing a bunch of wizards, which is pretty cool actually. I really liked it how he just like I imagine he just like did this. Like I imagine this is a scenario. Stop it right there, Grindelwald. We are the police, and we have like 20 wizards with us that can take you down. Really? I have the Elder Wand. Avada Kedavra! But yeah, and then they go to basically New York, and seeing how Americans love hogging the spotlight, they finally got basically Harry Potter in New York. But yeah, so basically we meet our protagonist Newt Scamander, who has a case of animals in a suitcase, and he doesn't really tell the truth on why he's there in like New York. But wait. Yeah, basically Newt Scamander has also I'd like to apologize for this going too fast, but like basically Newt Scamander basically has to, the real reason he's actually in New York is because there's this creature thing that looks like an eagle. There's basically this big eagle creature thing that he wants to release in Arizona, send it back to its natural habitat because he found this guy, like, in captivity or whatever. He wanted to release it and such. But yeah, so, like, the story is basically centered around, like his beasts, but it's also centered around this Obscurus as well. So the story is basically like that, But, Newt's in New York, and then one of his beasts escape, and he has to try to catch it. He's in a bank, and they think he's stealing, so he has to escape, but along with that, he meets Jacob, who is one of my favorite characters in the movie. The reason that is because, like, similar to Ned, it's because he's the comic relief character. So many people will be like, "What? But he's the comic relief character." The reason is because like he has a likable personality. That's one. That's why I love both of those characters. But another reason I like both of those characters is because of their reactions to events happening around them. Like, yeah. So if you haven't seen Spider-Man: Homecoming, don't watch this. But like, Ned finds out that Peter's Spider-Man, and his reaction is priceless, and basically all our reactions when we found out our best friend was Spider-Man. Here, Jacob finds out that Newt and wizards exist, magic exists, and such. His reaction is priceless. He's just like, I'm right here. We were there, and I'm right here. Like, his reactions is priceless, and like, his reaction is basically our reaction, like when we see the world. It's similar to how Harry Potter reacts to the world around him in the Philosopher's Stone or Sorcerer's Stone if you live in America like I do, all the way through many of the movies, continuing all the way to the movies. So that's why I like Jacob. Now, like, that's how he meets Jacob, and after Jacob escapes, runs away, when Newt fails to obliviate the man, or wipe his memory, Tina, like, basically takes Newt in the government or whatever because he kind of broke a law and such. Although she's not really a police anymore, because she did this one stupid thing or a big scandal that led to all the big scandal that happened and such. So, yeah. But anyway, yeah, so I'm not going to talk much about the story, but anyway, I'm going to talk about the main premise right now. The main premise, basically, like I said, is Newt has these creatures escape, So he has to try to take him in. But around this time, there's this other separate story about the Obscurious, which is where a creature, or no, it's where a magical wizard, or no, a wizard or witch tries to suppress their powers. So instead of controlling them, they're trying to hide them or not use them at all. And that's what leads to an Obscurious, which is uncontrollable and such, and usually dies very young. You know, they never usually reach up to the age of teenagers and such. And it's brilliantly shown in it's kind of based on the name of Obscurus in the Fantastic Beasts book, if you read like the company name or whatever. And it does seem Obscurus does seem hinted at with Dumbledore's sister, Ariana and such, and I really like it how they expand that to that, basically. Like how hiding yourself can be negative, not just mentally, but physically as well. So I did like how they expanded that as well, but like, yeah, so that's the Obscurus and such, and yeah, so there's that. He's wreaking havoc and stuff, and they blame Newt. And later on in the story, like, Newt, it's your fault there's this creature outside, because he had to come around the wrong time here, apparently. So they take him in. They're gonna, like, put the death penalty on him, which is pretty brutal, actually. The death penalty is really brutal. I never really understood it until I watched Dom reviews, and I'm like, oh, shoot. That is so brutal and pretty bad. Huh. But yeah, so we'll talk about how it expands the world later, but until then we're talking about this now. But yeah, so basically that happens and such, and what happens later on is they catch all the beasts eventually, finally. Newt meets, like I said, the characters that help along the way is Newt, Jacob, Tina, and there's also Queenie, who is Tina's sister, actually, and who also is in love with Jacob. I really like their relationship. I really liked it how they, like, the movies never really explored, like, the Harry Potter movies never really showed, or the books showed that much of a muggle loving, or like a witch or a wizard loving a muggle. Although in Half-Blood Prince they did explore that bit of it, it was not that much, and it was more like, hey, here's a love potion, will you marry me? Okay, basically that. But like here there's actually a connection, like a relationship between Jacob and Queenie, and I really like how they did that. How like wizards or witches can fall in love with muggles too, because they're not that much different, to be honest. But yeah, so they catch all the beasts, and Graves, who actually works for the, like in the government, there's like a Madam President, which is pretty funny when you think about how the Wizarding world already has a woman president when the exact same year. No, when a few weeks before the movie released, America rejected a woman president, which is so hilarious and also makes me think, wow, Muggle America must really suck. Oh man, it's just a funny thing. It's not like, wow, that's sad. Although it kind of is sad, but it's hilarious. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, yeah, so there's a Madam President, and like one person that works for her is Percival Graves, who's not really, hinted more as a kind of like a dark person a bit. Not too dark, but kind of like, serious and such. He's actually talking with Credence, who is a kid, who's an orphan as well, he's like telling Credence, hey Credence, if you help me, I'll reward you with magic and stuff, but I need to find the Obscures, who they think is actually, who he thinks is like, Credence tells him it's the little girl and such, but like, because Percival Graves believes it's the little girl, she has the magical powers, but it turns out, it's actually Credence who has the powers. And I was kind of shocked that it was actually Credence, because the movie did do a good job of hinting that, hey, it's that little girl, because like they show that she's a bit weird a bit. She's singing songs about witches burning and such. And it's they kind of show how she's a bit strange and stuff, and I really liked how it was surprise, it's Credence instead, and it makes sense as well. It fits in perfectly, even with the twist fits in perfectly because they find out his stepmother or whatever abuses him and such, and it's very bad for him and such. Like it's kind of like Harry Potter, but his parents are more abusive and such, and he finds out he's actually kind of magical a bit. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like the American version of Harry Potter. More dark version of Harry Potter. But yeah, so that's it, and Credence becomes uncontrollable when he trusted Graves. Basically, acts like a jerk to him at one point. He's like, you know what? Screw everybody. I'm just gonna terrorize the city and such. He does that until, you know what? I messed up this talking thing so much. I'm just gonna continue talking and hope I get it right. But yeah, so Newt tries to talk to Credence, and he eventually does. But then Graves comes in, and just like trying to basically attacking Newt and such, until Tina comes in and stops this whole charade and such, and tries to help Credence, and then the president comes in and is just like kill the guy. Sorry. But anyway, they're like, kill crap, sorry. Kill that Obscurious thing now. So they basically, murdered Credence. Although they actually didn't. I actually thought they did kill Credence, but you can actually see a black thing, like a black dust moving out of there. I did not notice that until my second viewing. In my first viewing, I was like, dang it, Credence is dead. But no, he's not dead. In my second viewing, I've realized, no, he's not. So yeah, that happens. In the wizarding world, if you don't know, they try to keep their wizarding secrets from muggles, but seeing how the Obscurious thing happens, and they basically reveal the force field and wands and magic and such, they need to obliviate these people, but they can't obliviate an entire city until Newt says he has an idea. He'll release his eagle buddy, that which was the reason he came to New York, but he gives him a bottle which obliviates people. The eagle thing flies in the air, and rain of obliviating people comes down and obliviates people from the entire city. Now, strangely, wizards are walking out as well, but not obliviated. But what I can assume is they probably have a shielding charm or whatever. They probably have like a spell or something that keeps them from being obliviated. So yeah, that happens. Newt leaves America, and that's how the story ends. So yeah, that's it. Let's talk about the characters now. Now, at first viewing, the characters were kind of a disappointment in my first viewing. Now, in my first viewing, what I mean is this. Although I liked the characters, they were kind of okay a bit. I thought they weren't developed enough when they actually were. This is one of those movies where I'm like, oh, you need to watch the movie. You need to watch the movie a few times to really enjoy it. That's why I think I didn't get invested in the characters as much. But when I watch it again, I got a little more invested. I watched it a third time. I'm like, yeah, Newt was developed more than I thought he was. He loved magical creatures and such. He's kind of he's that guy, but he's also the annoying kind of guy a bit. But he's loud and proud a bit. Because, usually the annoying character is usually moves on from being the annoying or dorky character. Becomes, less annoying or less dorky or whatever. But here, Newt is more acceptant of his personality and is like that for the film, and I really liked that new approach. I really liked that, and I liked Newt. Tina was also a character I kind of liked as well, but she, how she was an Auror but lost her job because of crap. Lost her job because like she exposed the wizarding world, but then like they fixed that problem but fired her because of that. She kind of like, you do kind of feel bad for her of how like people didn't really like, people were kind of be jerks to her. You kind of do feel bad for her and such. There's that. I also like Queenie. Like, she kind of did seem like a more American version of Luna. She did seem like a more happy personality, but she does seem to act more like an American version of Luna. I really liked that. And Jacob, like I mentioned, is funny, hilarious, relatable, and likable. Like all the versions of Ned. Like basically all the characters of Ned from Spider-Man Homecoming. And then there's Percival Graves. Now, I forgot to mention there was a plot twist in the story thing. It turns out Percival Graves is actually Grindelwald. I forgot to mention that. I'm so sorry for that. But like, Percival Graves, I like to mention, who's played by Colin Farrell, I really liked that. I don't know how to describe it, but I really liked it how he kind of acted like that. Kind of a bit dark, a bit serious and such. I really liked it. It was a very good performance. But where it lost me was when he turned into Grindelwald. It was actually played by Johnny Depp. And first off, he looks ridiculous. Like, Grindelwald looks a bit ridiculous. The movie kind of lost me there a bit. I was like, oh, he's Grindelwald. But I was, like, the surprise didn't really surprise me that much compared to Credence. Like they didn't do a good job of hiding that, hey, he's Grindelwald. Because who else could you believe is Grindelwald? Our options are the fuming characters I just named. Newt, Tina, Queenie, Jacob, Madam President, or Percival Graves. Like, you can kind of see through the whole, oh no, it's Percival Graves is Grindelwald. And another thing is, Johnny Depp is just like the same Johnny Depp. Like, if you haven't seen his performances recently, it's kind of, like, I remember seeing Alice in Wonderland, and I didn't like the film, and Johnny Depp didn't help that at all as well. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, his performance was not good. I didn't like it. He was one of the problems with Charlie and Chocolate Factory. Pirates of the Caribbean, that was where he was good. But I think that was the high point that then led to his low point. So yeah, Johnny Depp didn't really please me that much. He was just like, do you think you can hold me? I'm like, okay, but that's it. I'm not going to give too much flack to Johnny Depp because this was just like 2 seconds of his performance and that's it. We'll just have to wait for Crimes of Grindelwald and see if his performance is really going to be a good thing. But he hasn't raised my hopes. But I am hopeful. Harry Potter film hasn't disappointed me yet. So let's go. Fantastic Beasts, on second viewing, it's much better on second viewing, and on third viewing, it's much better. Because, like, first I was like, the characters just seem okay. Now, some people say it's boring. It's actually not. But the problem is that you need to watch it many times. Because, like, and you also need to watch all the Harry Potter films. You can't watch this and watch all the Harry Potter films. That's not how you should view this. You should watch the Harry Potter films, then watch this. Then it'll make sense. So you have to rewatch this movie, and you also, it's kind of a bit convoluted, but that's how franchises work now. Basically. But yeah, so now let's go to... So yeah, expanding the universe. So basically, like the last one, this helps expand the universe. Not only do we get to see, like, new creatures and stuff, although I should put quotation of new because we do read about some of them in the Fantastic Beasts book. It is nice to see what they look like, and also to see that there's other countries that have wizards and stuff, but also have wizarding governments and such. We get to see more of the world, and I really liked that about this movie. Like the first time I saw Fantastic Beasts was before I've seen any of the Harry Potter films, which I think was probably the big mistake, because I walked out of this movie thinking, it's okay. But it's actually really good when you watch it, when you watch all the Harry Potter films and when you watch this many times. So I really like this film. The visual effects, or like the CGI and stuff, were really good. They're pretty good. Like the creatures look amazing. I really liked it. I like the Niffler. The Niffler was so adorable. Yeah, so there's lots of cool stuff in here. Yeah, I really liked this story, and it was pretty cool and such. And like you get to learn more about Newt Scamander a bit. You know, he liked his magical beasts and stuff. You know, he wherever, you know, the promise of beasts, he would come and get them and such. Put them in a suitcase and done. You know, get to treat them pretty well. I really like that. You know, the new characters were pretty good. They were just good though. Like I don't think they can reach up to the level of Harry, Ron, Hermione, Voldemort, Dumbledore, Luna, Neville, Ginny, Draco. Like they can't reach that high. Maybe Jacob can. But like they really can't. But that's okay cuz like for this story it's pretty good. They expand the world. They show us the creatures, different governments, you know, all of that. And what's funny is they don't give us that much fan service, which I really like. I really appreciate for them not giving us that much fan service. In fact, this film didn't feel like a setup to another film. This actually felt like its own film. I really liked that. I was thinking, is this the last movie? Because I remember watching this, I was like, is this the last movie? Because it kind of did end on a cliffhanger a bit, but like with the Grindelwald thing and such. But after the movie was done, and just to let you know, I saw this in class, so that's why I saw it. I was like, is that really it? Is that all we're gonna see? And then it turns out when I looked up a few years later, after I got into Harry Potter, I looked up that they were making 5 Fantastic Beasts movies. That's a lot of sequels. Even for a movie, like for me, that felt like a lot of sequels. Seeing how the movie basically ended on, geez, it looks like we might not get a sequel. Although they planned it from the very beginning, actually. Because apparently someone mentioned that they were planning on making 5 Wizarding World movies, which is basically Fantastic Beasts movies, around the release of Fantastic Beasts. I was like very surprised by that. But yeah, so I really liked it how they didn't have fan service. Because if you look, let's take Star Wars for example. They have fan service and such. And yes, it's nice to get some fan service. But like you like Star Wars and stuff, but they can get to a point when it gets annoying. Like adding C3PO and R2D2. They just felt added there just for, hey, Star Wars fans, look, it's those two guys, you know. Like, okay, it's nice to give us some fun Easter eggs and stuff, but you don't need to throw it down in our throats. Because there can be a point where it becomes just too much. Or Jurassic World, for example. Some people complain the nostalgia and stuff kind of, they focus way too much on fan service and nostalgia than the story. And I can agree, if they focused more on the story than the nostalgia, then the film could have probably done a lot better. And although I do like Jurassic World, I do feel like the characters were kind of a bit weak, and had they focused on them, then the nostalgia, then the movie could have been improved. But on back to Harry Potter, they didn't use that much fan service. Despite the fact that this was used to expand the universe, which it does pretty well, they don't use that much fan service. Like, look, like the mention of Voldemort, or they did mention Dumbledore actually. And although Voldemort wasn't probably born or something around this time, like they did mention Dumbledore, but they didn't use that much fan service, which did surprise me actually. I'm very surprised by that. Like they could have easily set this up at, oh, another Hogwarts movie, Newt goes to Hogwarts again, or whatever. They didn't do that, but I really liked it. Now the next movie is probably gonna have a lot of fan service, but as long as it doesn't feel jammed in our throats or annoying or stupid or just thrown in for the sake of throwing it in, I'll be fine. And yeah, and as long as it is meaningful, as long as it's not just like, as long as it's meaningful, then I'll like it. But yeah, so that's expanding the universe. Now let's talk about my final thoughts. So my final thoughts. This movie is really good. Fantastic Beasts. I really like it. Like, I like the new characters, and I also like the story, but the story is actually a little bit slow. I will admit, the story was a little slow at times. Like, it wasn't like, let's compare to Deathly Hallows Part 2. Deathly Hallows Part 2 goes pretty fast, actually. Not too fast, but, like, fast to the pace, like, when we get to the Battle of Hogwarts and stuff. It was really well paced. It was pretty fast, but it was well paced, Deathly Hallows Part 2. And then they kind of slowed down a bit, but for the emotional scenes and such, and then they fast paced it again, and then end of the movie. I liked that. Here it was a bit more slow. They were like, we make it in the bed, like, we get to America, beasts, this other subplot, beasts, it kind of felt like the Fantastic Beast was kind of slow a bit when it came to the beast. It was nice seeing them, but yeah, the pacing could have done a lot better. And I think that's why many people thought the film was boring, because like the pacing was a bit slow and such. And I think another reason they found it boring was the characters, because like I said, I did kind of get bored a bit by the characters. But I think you have to watch it a few more times, like I said. You have to do that, and you also have to, and also because the pacing's pretty slow. But besides that, like, the film is pretty good, actually. I really like it. It expands the Wizarding World pretty well. You get some cool characters and such. And despite my first time not liking a character, although I won't... Like, in the Harry Potter universe, I liked all the characters except Johnny Depp as Grindelwald. But he could change my mind in Crimes of Grindelwald, so we'll see in my review if he changes my mind. Because if I like him in Crimes of Grindelwald, then the 1 turns into a 0, and then there's every character in Crimes in Harry Potter I like. But yeah, so that's what I think. I give this film an A-, because you get good characters, the story's pretty good, but the pacing is a bit slow at times. And I think it requires a few viewings to really enjoy this film, but yeah. So, and also the beasts look pretty cool. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and my next review will either be Harry Potter and the Philosopher/Sorcerer's Stone, or Fantastic Beasts: Crimes of Grindelwald. But until then, everyone, mischief managed.